Good morning. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. It's Thursday, July 4th, 2024, Independence Day. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
President Biden makes it clear he is not withdrawing from the presidential race. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
A rapidly intensifying storm in the Atlantic.
Almost total damage or destruction.
I'm Clayton Neville.
A congressman wants to change the Constitution to alter the Supreme Court's immunity ruling. Lisa Dwyer has that story.
Abortion could be on the ballot in 2 more states in November. I'm Pamela Furr.
On Wall Street, it's quiet for the 4th of July holiday today, but we'll catch you up on what's been happening with your money. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
A Delta flight to Amsterdam landed in New York. Passengers were served spoiled food. I'm Rita Foley.
AAA is forecasting a record July 4th travel period. I'm Jennifer King.
All ahead on America in the Morning. Despite a growing number of members of his own party suggesting he step aside, President Biden tells campaign staff and lawmakers he has no plans to do so. John Stolnis has details from Washington.
On a call with White House and campaign staff, the president laid it out plainly, saying, quote, "I am running. No one is pushing me out. I'm not leaving. I'm in this race to the end, and we're going to win." A similar message was conveyed in a campaign fundraising email sent out to supporters as well. It comes as 2 more Democratic members of Congress, Raul Grijalva of Arizona and Seth Moulton of Massachusetts, are calling for him to step aside, joining Texas Congressman Lloyd Doggett, who told MSNBC his constituents don't think Biden can beat Donald Trump in November.
I hope that he will put country first. I know Trump would never do that, but that he will put country first and decide to step aside. I think there are a number of candidates that could come in and provide us a stronger message.
The White House spent yesterday forcefully pushing back on the notion that the president would step aside. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre here refuting a New York Times report that claimed Biden had told close aides he was considering leaving the race.
He's moving forward as being president. He's moving forward with his campaign, as his campaign has been very, very clear about that. That's what I can speak to.
The president spent much of the day meeting with Democratic congressional leaders like Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, as well as with Democratic governors, confirming with all of them that he will continue to run. Speaking to reporters after the meeting, the governors said they were candid with the president about their concerns, but announced they will continue to support him as the nominee, including Maryland's Wes Moore.
As the president continued to tell us and show us that he was all in, that we said that we would stand with him. The president has always had our backs. We're going to have his back as well.
And Minnesota's Tim Walz.
What we saw in there today was a guy who was the guy that all of us believed in the first time who could beat Donald Trump.
A new Siena Research New York Times poll out yesterday shows a 3-point swing in Trump's favor since the debate, holding a 49-41 lead with registered voters. Nearly 3/4 of all voters view Biden as too old for the job. That's up 5 points since the debate. John Stolnis, Washington.
Hurricane Beryl has proved deadly as small islands look to recover and other regions prepare for potential impact as the storm moves toward the Gulf of Mexico and potentially Texas. Correspondent Clayton Neville has the latest.
Parts of Jamaica lashed with 140-mile-per-hour winds and higher. Roofs ripped off buildings in Kingston as the storm that was once a Category 5 churns towards the Yucatan Peninsula. In its wake, death and destruction. At least 7 deaths attributed to Beryl after it caused major flooding in parts of South America and ripped through the Windward Islands.
There's really nothing that can prepare you to see this level of destruction. It is almost Armageddon-like.
Dickon Mitchell is the Prime Minister of Grenada and described the destruction on the island of Carriacou.
Almost total damage or destruction of all buildings, whether they be public buildings, homes, or other private facilities. Complete devastation and destruction of agriculture. Complete and total destruction of the natural environment. There is literally no vegetation left anywhere on the island of Carriacou.
Boats and marinas on the island destroyed.
There is almost complete destruction of the electrical grid system in Carriacou. The entire communication system is completely destroyed. As of this moment, communication is still a major problem.
Weather experts concerned about the strength of Beryl and its potential impact.
We've got very, very warm waters, and we need to bear in mind that it only takes one landfalling hurricane to set back, decades of development.
Claire Nullis is a spokesperson for the World Meteorological Organization.
We fear what is happening with Hurricane Beryl, which has hit very, very, very small islands in the Caribbean who are not used to this size of hurricane. We fear that this is going to have a major knock on socioeconomic development.
As Beryl moves toward the Gulf of Mexico, concern is growing along parts of the Texas coast. Officials there warning people to be prepared over the holiday weekend in case tropical weather reaches the Gulf Coast. The governor says the state is ready to respond if needed. I'm Clayton Neville.
Congressman's quest to alter the Constitution after Supreme's ruling. That story and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back here with America in the Morning. Backyard grilling this afternoon, fireworks tonight, the all-important Independence Day forecast. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
As the storm becomes better organized through the day over the northern plains and the upper Midwest, an associated cold front will plow into a warm and very humid environment, supporting the risk for thunderstorms today and lasting through tonight from central Oklahoma northward to far eastern Nebraska and points eastward from there to southern Wisconsin to the western tip of Kentucky. Any of these storms may deliver hail, damaging wind gusts, tornadoes, and an enhanced risk for flooding, with cities such as Des Moines, Iowa, already having received half of the historical average July rainfall in just the first 2 days of the month. For the rest of the nation, this Independence Day brings another day of intense and in spots expanding heat for the western states, mainly from Arizona into southern Idaho, eastern Oregon, and through much of California, while onshore winds protect coastal cities such as Los Angeles from the worst heat. Strengthening high pressure means that places from California's Central Valley to interior Southern California, the Las Vegas area, and even Phoenix can reach 110 degrees daily through the weekend under sunshine. On a wetter note, a large part of the country east of the Mississippi River stands at least some risk for an afternoon thunderstorm, as a front essentially washes out overhead from the Ohio Valley into the northeast, with stormy conditions possible not out of the question from New England to Tennessee, southern Louisiana, and much of Florida, and cities such as New York, Boston, and Philadelphia face potential storms lasting into the early evening hours. The eastern Great Lakes can squeak out a dry day today, as can much of central and south Texas, but the Lone Star State stays hot today with some triple-digit highs expected. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. Not everyone in Congress is happy about the recent Supreme Court decision regarding presidential immunity. As Lisa Dwyer reports, one congressman wants not just to challenge the ruling, but to change the Constitution.
Representative Joseph Morelli of New York says he is seeking to reverse the Supreme Court's decision on presidential immunity and ensure that no president is above the law. It's the most significant legislative response yet to the decision this week from the court's conservative majority. Congress can launch the constitutional amendment process with a 2/3 vote of both the House and Senate, which is highly unlikely to succeed in this Congress. The amendment would then need ratification by 2/4 of the states. There have only been 27 amendments to the U.S. Constitution. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Organizers in Arizona and Nebraska say they've turned in more than enough signatures to get abortion rights on the November ballot. Pamela Furr has details.
Election officials will need to certify the signatures before they're added to the ballots. But here's what the states are calling for. First, in Nebraska, there could be two competing questions. One, just like the Arizona proposal, would add a right to an abortion to the state constitution. The other would enshrine Nebraska's current ban on most abortions after 12 weeks of pregnancy. Now, it doesn't look like the third proposal is going to make the ballot, and that would ban abortions at all stages of pregnancy by deeming embryos as people. There are 5 other states set to bring abortion issues before voters. Arizona and Nebraska are just the latest, and activists in Arkansas are pushing to meet Friday's deadline to make the ballot in that state. They say they're about 5,800 signatures away from making it happen. Democrats have made abortion rights one of the most important issues since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in 2022 and are making it a key part of election efforts in November. I'm Pamela Furr.
Buyer's market this holiday for new cars and trucks. We'll have that story when America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning. The Business Report is sponsored by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments takes a disciplined approach with investing, helping clients navigate volatile markets. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street is quiet this morning. The financial markets are closed for this 4th of July holiday, but you can trade crypto. That never closes. People are buying and selling Bitcoin all day and all night. We're 3 trading days into July. Wall Street is quiet this morning. The financial markets are closed for this 4th of July holiday, but you can trade crypto. That never closes. People are buying and selling Bitcoin all day and all night. We're 3 trading days into July and into the third quarter and the second half of the year. So far, stocks are doing a little summer churn, but year to date, that S&P 500 index, it's up 16%. Tomorrow is a regular business day on Wall Street. It's also a jobs Friday. That's big. The ADP report that came out yesterday measures private sector payrolls. A fewer than expected 150,000 new jobs were created in the U.S. in June. Bars and restaurants, again, did a lot of the heavy lifting.
Where were the jobs? Leisure and hospitality. Construction doing a bit better.
CNBC senior economics reporter Steve Leisman. Are you shopping for a new car this holiday or maybe this weekend? New car prices have been falling for 8 straight months now, according to Cox Automotive. For the second quarter, GM sold the most vehicles in 4 years. At Ford, they sold the most in 5 years.
Best truck sales in the second quarter since 2019. Also, hybrid sales up 56%. EV sales up 61%. And I know some people will say, well, the EV numbers are coming off of a smaller base, but this is critical for Ford and really for all of the automakers separate from Tesla, because as they ramp EV production, they want to see those sales continue to grow. And so you see that in the second quarter with Ford.
CNBC's Phil LeBeau. Walk into Krispy Kreme today wearing red, white, and blue, and they'll hand you an original glazed donut.
Are people still spending on revenge travel, or is that over?
No, it's still out there for some, but more Americans are finding themselves thinking hard before paying big bucks to travel now. Evans May Wealth's Elizabeth Evans tells CNBC that's why she's betting on cruising.
What's crazy is that for $185 a night, you can set sail on a Royal Caribbean cruise, an interior room. You compare that to the cost of hotel, all the food's included.
And she adds a lot of people never have to buy plane tickets for these vacations.
60% of the U.S. population is within a 6-hour drive to one of the many ports of call. So from a consumer standpoint, you remove the airline expense. That's a big deal.
People like value. 27% of cruisers over the past 2 years have never done it before, according to the Cruise Line Industry Association. On today's 4th of July holiday watch list, retailers are open. They're hoping you're going to shop. Hollywood is hoping you'll hit the movies and spend some on Disney Pixar's Inside Out 2 or Universal's Despicable Me 4. Universal is a sister company to CNBC. There are people working today at the Labor Department. That big June employment report out tomorrow morning. It's a Jobs Friday.
CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. And on the heels of her cruise line travel update, a check on what motorists can expect this 4th of July holiday when America in the Morning returns after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. The turbulence on this particular overseas airline flight was because of what passengers ate. Correspondent Rita Foley reports on a plane that had to divert because of some bad food.
The red-eye flight took off from Detroit around 11 and landed in New York after reports that some of the main cabin in-flight meal service was spoiled, says Delta. Emergency responders met the flight and treated 12 passengers. Not clear how many passengers ate the spoiled food. There were 277 passengers on the plane. Delta says it'll investigate, saying, and we're quoting, "This is not the service Delta is known for, and we sincerely apologize to our customers for the inconvenience." I'm Rita Foley.
Holiday travel is underway in record numbers. Correspondent Jennifer King reports.
AAA is forecasting a record July 4th travel period. Although with nearly 90 million people under heat alerts, it might be a good idea to watch the fireworks from a boat or on TV with a bowl of ice cream in hand. The Motor Club projects 70.9 million U.S. travelers are heading 50 miles or more to enjoy Independence Day festivities this week. That's a 5% increase over last year and over 5.5 million more than before the pandemic. About 60.6 million are going by car, with the worst traffic on Sunday. As for rental car demand, Hertz says Dallas, Denver, Salt Lake City, Los Angeles, and San Francisco are tops this holiday week. GasBuddy.com is reporting the national average for a gallon of gas on the 4th is expected to be around $3.49. I'm Jennifer King.
America in the Morning for Thursday, July 4th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
Amid questions after a halting debate, President Biden meets with Democratic governors.
I can do this job.
Jennifer King, Washington.
A major reprieve for Donald Trump, sentencing in his hush money case now in September instead of next week. Julie Walker, New York.
The 4th of July and dangerous heat causing some concern across the U.S. today. I'm Clayton Neville.
Planned Parenthood is planning to spend $40 million ahead of November's elections. Haya Panjwani, Washington.
The Los Angeles Lakers agreed to terms with a pair of Jameses on Wednesday. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
A law class at Georgia State University is going on a field trip to the Olympics. I'm Ed Donahue.
Back after these messages. This is America in the Morning. Welcome back. Intense heat wave in the West. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
This Independence Day holiday will mean yet another day of extreme heat spreading across portions of the West, especially within a zone from eastern Oregon and Idaho southward through Nevada, California, and Arizona. Winds off the water are expected to fight off the worst heat from coastal cities like San Francisco, but strong and deepening high pressure ensures that areas from much of Arizona to the deserts of Southern California and through the Central Valley face the daily threat of highs exceeding 110 degrees by quite a bit in the hottest spots through the weekend, and parts of the Mojave Desert may even reach the 130-degree mark. East of there, the majority of the eastern United States holds the chance of an afternoon thunderstorm for the holiday, with a cold front collapsing over the Ohio Valley and southern New England, and thunderstorms may occur from the northeast to the Tennessee Valley, as well as a good portion of the southeast outside of the coastal Carolinas. Cities along the Interstate 95 corridor from Boston to the nation's capital may face the risk for storms lingering into the early evening hours. The same cannot be said for eastern parts of the Great Lakes that should turn out dry today, along with much of Texas. However, the heat continues for especially northern portions of Texas that can reach 100 degrees today. Otherwise, a cold front in the nation's center blasts into an air mass that will be primed for sparking severe weather today and tonight from far southern Minnesota to northeastern Oklahoma and northern Arkansas. Any storm can bring damaging winds, flooding, hail, and some tornadoes. The flood risk can be locally enhanced in areas that have been hard hit by repeated flooding downpours since last month, with more rain in store over the coming days. In Sacramento, California, scorching sunshine is in store today with a high of 107. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Remember, you can follow us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. The headline story in Wednesday's New York Times said, Biden tells allies he knows he has only days to salvage his candidacy. This comes as his White House team has poured cold water on any talk to have him leave the race. As correspondent Jennifer King reports, top Democrat governors met with Biden at the White House as other members of his own party are grappling with the aftermath of the Biden-Trump debate and questions as to whether he can lead the nation for another term.
I think it's a legitimate question to say, is this an episode or is this a condition? And so when people ask that question, it's completely legitimate of both candidates.
Amid questions after a halting debate, President Biden meets with Democratic governors in a closed White House meeting.
Many of you have covered it. You know I'm a poor debater, and you've seen it happen. But I think the question is how does that impact how the country runs? How does it impact what an election looks like? And again, it's about the differences and the binary choice that we're going to face in November.
Biden has signaled he has no intention of dropping out of the race.
I can do this job.
Top Democrats say they don't want to tiptoe around Biden's performance and a lack of transparency from his team.
Like a lot of people, I was pretty horrified by the debate, the blips of President Biden and the barrage of lying from President Trump were not what one would hope for in a presidential debate.
Democratic Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island was asked his concerns in an interview for WPRI.
Well, I think people want to make sure that this is a campaign that's ready to go and win, that the president and his team are being candid with us about his condition, that this was a real anomaly and not just the way he is these days, and that, they've got a plan to win.
Representative Lloyd Doggett of Texas has called for Biden to withdraw from the race, praising Biden, but saying he has the opportunity to encourage a new generation of leaders.
I hope that he will put country first. I know Trump would never do that, but that he will put country first and decide to step aside, give us a fair, open, democratic with a small d convention and the lead up to that convention. I think there are a number of candidates that could come in and provide us a stronger message in trying to prevent a Trump authoritarian takeover.
We want to turn the page on this.
White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre.
He's going to continue to be out there. He has been. And we understand how important that is.
Jennifer King, Washington.
New York judge officially delays Donald Trump's sentencing in his hush money case, which was scheduled for next week into September. Correspondent Julie Walker reports on what this means for his guilty verdict.
A major reprieve for Donald Trump, sentencing in his hush money case now in September instead of next week, following the Supreme Court ruling on presidential immunity. Fordham law professor Cheryl Bader.
The Supreme Court's decision was a big win for Trump, but I don't see it having any effect on the constitutional validity of this verdict. Even if you consider the underlying crime of unlawfully promoting an election, which elevated the falsification of business records to a felony, Trump was clearly a candidate at the time. He was not the president acting in an official capacity.
But Trump's lawyers argue the Supreme Court ruling merits tossing out his conviction.
I don't see this impacting the verdict. Even under the Supreme Court's sweeping grant of immunity, falsifying private business records to pay off a porn star would not fall within the outer perimeters of official presidential duties.
The judge said he'd rule on September 6th, and the next date in the case would be the 18th if necessary.
The Trump team may argue that writing personal checks to a private attorney to reimburse for illegal conduct is within the outer perimeters of his function simply because it physically took place at times in the Oval Office. But I can't imagine even this Supreme Court upholding a presumption of immunity under those circumstances.
Julie Walker, New York.
This 4th of July comes with a combination of oppressive heat across much of the country and extreme fire danger in the West. Here's an update from correspondent Clayton Neville.
Firefighters in Northern California working to contain wildfires that spread quickly this week. Thousands of people ordered to evacuate because of the Thompson and Toll fires. A number of structures have burned, no one seriously hurt. Governor Gavin Newsom said the response is strong.
Of course, we've already seen a fire season that is significantly greater than the average of the last 5 years. We're mobilizing unprecedented resources.
This as the heat bears down this 4th of July holiday. Triple digits forecast for much of the South and Plain states. It'll feel about 110 degrees in Dallas, and in Arkansas, the heat index closer to 116. This as Americans plan to celebrate their independence with fireworks. This man owns a fireworks stand in Texas.
Honestly, I don't think the heat bothers it. Everybody wants their fireworks. When it comes to firework time, nothing will stop people from coming. Rain, anything. I've seen people out here in the pouring down rain buying them.
Yeah, weather conditions don't necessarily matter. I guess with the dryness, I mean, people are preparing for this.
Yes, people want their fireworks and nothing stops them, so.
Local fire departments on standby and paying close attention. In places like California, where the fire risk is extremely high, some fireworks shows have been called off. Other places celebrating with drone displays. ER doctors also on high alert.
I think we see a good mix of both campfire accidents with the young kids as well as the firework accidents. They come in pretty close to neck and neck.
Sarah Scoins works in the ER.
My number one recommendation is for the adults to supervise children, but also enjoy yourself as well. And so if you are going to be celebrating, make sure you're minimizing your adult beverages and that you're able to supervise children appropriately when handling fireworks.
The heat and fireworks safety not the only concern this holiday. 6 million people under a slight risk of severe storms across much of Missouri, parts of Kansas, and Oklahoma. I'm Clayton Neville.
Employees sue, Microsoft settles. That story when America in the Morning continues after these messages. I'm John Trout. Welcome back to America in the Morning. Abortion, a major topic for voters heading to the polls this year. As correspondent Haya Panjwani reports, Planned Parenthood will unleash a $40 million advertising buy ahead of the November election.
Planned Parenthood is planning to spend $40 million ahead of November's elections to bolster the campaigns of President Joe Biden and leading congressional Democrats. The organization is betting that voters angry at Republican-led efforts to further restrict access to abortion can be the difference in key races around the country. The political entities of the nation's leading reproductive health care provider and abortion rights advocacy organization shared the announcement with the Associated Press prior to its official release. The effort will initially target 8 states: Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, North Carolina, Montana, New Hampshire, and New York. Haya Panjwani, Washington.
Car maker must pay millions in penalties because some older models emit too much carbon dioxide. Correspondent Lisa Dwyer reports.
General Motors will pay nearly $146 million in penalties to the federal government because 5.9 million of its older vehicles do not comply with emissions and fuel economy standards. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says the issue involves GM pickup trucks and SUVs from the 2012 through 2018 model years. The EPA says the affected vehicles will remain on the road and cannot be repaired, but say that those GM vehicles, on average, consume at least 10% more fuel than the window sticker number says. The company, however, will not be required to reduce the miles per gallon on those stickers. GM says the problem stems from a change in testing procedures that the EPA put in place in 2016. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Horrifying scenes out of India where victims and responders are recounting a deadly stampede and the rush to help. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports at least 121 people have died so far.
Indian authorities say massive overcrowding, insufficient exits and other factors contributed to a deadly stampede at a religious festival in Uttar Pradesh state, northern India, that killed at least 120 people. Police officer Sheila Moria, on duty at the event, was injured during the chaos. She says there was no space to keep our feet. People were moving out, stepping on others. Then suddenly people were falling. I tried to pick up some women. Sonu Kumar, a villager, helped the injured after the stampede, telling the AP some were breathing, some were not. They were in a terrible condition. It was not immediately clear what sparked the panic. Overcrowding, poor planning and bad weather are among the factors contributing to the disaster. I'm Charles de la Tesma.
Microsoft settles a California discrimination lawsuit brought by people taking time off for medical and family leave. Here's tech correspondent Chuck Palm with that update.
Microsoft has agreed to pay $14 million to settle a California agency's claim that it illegally penalized workers who took medical or family care leave. The California Civil Rights Department has filed a case accusing the tech giant of retaliating against California-based employees who used parental, disability, pregnancy, and family care leave since 2017. The accusations say they denied them raises, promotions, and stock awards. The workers, who were disproportionately women and people with disabilities, received lower performance review scores, and in turn, their pay was suppressed, as were opportunities for promotions. A spokesperson for Microsoft said, "Microsoft is committed to the environment that empowers our employees to take leave when needed and provides flexibility and support necessary for them to thrive professionally and personally." Microsoft agreed to hire an independent consultant to ensure the company's policies do not discriminate. Happy Independence Day, everybody. I'm Chuck Palm.
The NBA's all-time leading scorer is coming back for another season, this time with his son as a teammate. Correspondent Gethin Coolball reports.
LeBron James made it official, returning for a record-tying 22nd NBA season after agreeing to a 2-year deal to return to LA. A person with knowledge of the negotiations said the NBA's all-time leading scorer is set to join his son Bronny James as the first father-son duo to be teammates in NBA history. The younger James also agreed to a contract with the Lakers, the team confirmed on social media. The Lakers drafted Bronny James with the 55th overall pick in this year's draft. I'm Gethin Coolball.
And on what else is going on in sports, here's our Robert Workman.
The starters for baseball's All-Star game in Texas later this month were announced on Wednesday. The front-running Phillies, with the best record in the majors, put 3 infielders in the National League lineup: third baseman Alec Boehm, shortstop Trey Turner, and first baseman Bryce Harper, the league's top vote-getter. They'll be joined by 2 Padres outfielders, Fernando Tatis Jr. and Jurickson Profar, plus catcher William Contreras and outfielder Christian Yelich of the Brewers, Dodgers DH Shohei Ohtani, and second baseman Ketel Marte of the defending champion Diamondbacks. 4 different American League teams put 2 players each in the lineup. The first-place Orioles have catcher Adley Rutschman and shortstop Gunnar Henderson. Their AL East rival Yankees placed 2 outfielders, top vote-getter Aaron Judge and first-time starter Juan Soto.
It's a lot of hard work that I've been putting on everything and been grinding a lot. Finally got my first star, so it's pretty cool.
The Central leading Guardians sent third baseman Jose Ramirez and outfielder Stephen Kwan, and the surging Astros have second baseman Jose Altuve and DH Yordan Alvarez. Blue Jays first baseman Vladimir Guerrero Jr. rounds out the list. Reserves and pitchers will be announced on Sunday. On the field last night, the A's shut out the Angels 5-0 behind Joey Estes, who needed only 92 pitches to complete his 5-hit gem. Brewers blanked the Rockies 3-0. Colin Ray and Jacob Junis scattered 8 hits. Braves beat the Giants. Chris Sale becomes the first 11-game winner in the National League. Christian Walker homered twice to lead the Diamondbacks over the Dodgers. NL wins for the Reds, Padres, Phillies, Nationals, and Pirates. In the American League, the Orioles, Red Sox, Royals, Astros, Tigers, and White Sox won. At Wimbledon, American 2-seed Coco Gauff among the second-round winners. That's Thursday Sports.
Thank you, Robert, and happy 4th. When we return on America in the Morning, celebrating our vote for independence with competitive eating. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. Tell me this isn't a class you wouldn't have signed up for in college. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports on a group of Georgia State University students studying the Olympics, which includes a trip to the 33rd Olympiad in Paris.
Law professor Mo Ivory likes to bring in celebrities to her class. This year, it's Olympic gold medal winner Edwin Moses.
When I was in high school, I was like Urkel. Steve Urkel. I was like little Steve Urkel. I was the smallest guy.
Ivory's class has been focusing on the Olympics.
We've been looking into
issues like broadcasting rights and IP protections and anti-doping and sports arbitration and just anything that comes up in the Olympics. And we've had an amazing time doing that. And the culmination for the class will be that we are going to the Olympics in July.
The class will not be just studying the Olympics.
It's a worldwide sporting event, and there are many business and legal ramifications. And what I hope they walk away from is understanding what those are, being able to talk about it in their everyday legal practice life, and giving them a glimpse of what it's like to be an attorney on either side of the table.
More than 30 Georgia State students will explore the Olympic Village, visit Team USA House, attend the opening ceremony, check out Olympic sponsorship sites, and spend some time at a Paris law school. There will also be a scavenger hunt around Paris in search of all trademarks the class studied throughout the semester. I'm Ed Donahue.
Update on a story we brought you some time ago. The July 4th Nathan's famous hot dog eating competition will go on, but without its biggest eater and world record holder. Entertainment correspondent Kevin Carr tells us why.
One of the great American traditions on the 4th of July is the Nathan's famous hot dog eating competition held in Coney Island and broadcast on ESPN.
3, 2, 1, go! I was under the impression we were just going to eat a hot dog, but what the heck, let's go for it.
This year, the coveted mustard yellow belt is up for grabs as two of the sport's greatest champions are no longer in the running. Takeru Kobayashi shattered records in 2001, eating almost 50 hot dogs and buns. Kobayashi's biggest competition and his eventual downfall was Joey Jaws Chestnut, who first won in 2007.
In first place with 66 hot dogs and buns, Joey Chestnut!
Over the years, Chestnut won Nathan's 16 times and set the world record of 76 hot dogs and buns in 10 minutes.
For he has surpassed the kings of Egypt with 76 Nathan's hot dogs and buns.
This year, Chestnut signed a deal with Impossible Foods to promote an all-plant-based hot dog, which disqualified him from the Nathan's contest. The competitors this year include most of the top 10 American eaters, including number 2 ranked Jeffrey Esper, as well as top eaters from other countries like Brazil, the Czech Republic, and the UK. The contest will air live on ESPN at noon Eastern. Joey Chestnut's Impossible demonstration starts at 5 p.m. and will be live streamed on his YouTube channel. I'm Kevin Carr.
Happy Independence Day on this July 4th, 2024. America in the Morning is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.